In order to feel included, autistic children might need adaptations in the home and in the school environment. The Equality Act states that people should make reasonable adjustments for you if your disability places you at a disadvantage as compared to non-disabled people. So in order to support our autistic children to be included, that means that it is totally reasonable for us to go into the school and ask for adjustments to be made for them. But it can be hard to identify what your child might actually need. So I would suggest observing over a number of weeks the challenges that your child is having in the home and noting what you could do to mitigate that challenges. So it might be that you find that your child is having difficulty whenever they go to put their shoes on, and they might be making life really difficult every time you want them to put their shoes on. So playing detective, I would look at that and I would say, are the shoes comfortable? Are the socks getting uncomfortable as they're getting put into the shoe? Is the place where they're being asked to put the shoe on a comfortable place? How are you explaining to them that the task needs to be done? What kind of time frame are you giving them to do it? And then when you look at the situation like that, you can kind of see that there are a number of places that you can make accommodations that might make that task easier for them to complete. So I would say that whenever you're encountering a behaviour that is communicating a need to you, you can listen to that behaviour and have a look at how you can make adjustments. Making adjustments within school can be a little bit more complicated because you're going to need to communicate with the school and ask them to make adjustments, which isn't always the easiest thing to do. It can be really challenging to advocate for your child in that way. So I would recommend, in the first instance, making a meeting with the SENCO of your child's school. That's the person responsible for organising adaptations for any children with a special educational need within the school. You could start by asking them what accommodations they've noticed your child might need and what accommodations they might be willing to make for your child. If that doesn't work, you could ask your child if there's anything in school that they would find easier, and you could take that to the SENCO. And if that's still not effective, you could research yourself of the kinds of accommodations that often work for other autistic children in school by either looking online or speaking to the parents of other autistic children. And you could make some suggestions to the school, and you could ask them to try those suggestions and measure what impact that has on your child's experience of school and keep the ones that are working. Some of the adaptations that you might consider making in the home for your autistic child are considering their sensory needs. You can try things like ear defenders that they can choose to access if they're finding sound a little bit overwhelming. Or you could try using weighted equipment. Weighted blankets or weighted lap pads or weighted jackets can be really beneficial for autistic children. You could try a flexible schedule for your child. I would suggest, rather than trying to schedule every second of the day and then when something changes, having a child who feels confused and concerned by that, I generally start a routine by looking at meal times because they can generally stay the same. And then I would put set blocks of time, like obviously the school day is as it is, but then you might have leisure time and homework time, which means that you could change that because leisure time could be doing something at home or it could be doing something outside of the house. I would also suggest that if something does happen that means that you can't follow their schedules, it's really easy to quickly write a new routine, which means that they feel that they know what's happening again. So for example, if one of my autistic children needed to go to visit a doctor and that was unexpected and something that didn't happen, I would write a new plan that included visiting the doctor and what that looks like, and then we're back on routine and everybody's happy. It can also be useful to have visual reminders of particular tasks. So when my autistic children were younger and they were in primary school and I needed them to be putting on their shoes and getting their bags and getting their coats on, I had visual images of each step that they needed to take before going to school that they could tick off every morning as they went through that checklist. Now, my children at that point could read, and so it might have seemed strange that I used these visual reminders, but actually reading takes quite a lot of processing, and for autistic children starting the school day, if you can reduce the amount of processing needed, then that leaves them with more energy to use on the school day. You might want to use sensory lighting. My autistic children have all got LED strip lights around the top of the room that changes to different colours so they can set the mood of the room exactly how they want it to be. One of my autistic children has difficulty getting to sleep if it's too quiet, so she uses white noise, and we got a pillow speaker that goes underneath her pillow so that even though she shares a bedroom, she can access the white noise without disturbing my other autistic child who prefers everything to be quiet.